Good morning, everyone, from beautiful downtown Huntsville, Alabama. This is Eric with Usign, and I have a wonderful opportunity today to share with you some really cool stuff in Usign and GIFsign. So I'm looking forward to that. I've been watching the comments scroll by here as I was getting ready at the last minute. And I see all kinds of people from really cool places. So we've got Stephen, who's coming to us from San Francisco, James from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Obviously, we have Gloria on this morning, who is from Oregon, Al from Chattanooga, Jay from Lubbock, Texas, Ken Wallace coming to us from Chicago. Good to have you all joining us this morning. And then we've got a bunch more that I'm missing. So if I've missed you, go ahead and announce yourself again, because we want to know that you're here and we want to welcome you. So we have Tom from Amarillo, Texas. So cool. Good morning. Sam, how are you? From up the road in Tennessee. And we have Terry from Circleville, Ohio, and James coming to us from Coventry, UK. So it's late in the day for you. And last week we had some people on from Australia, so it's really late at night for them. And so James says the sound is good. Thank you. We want to make sure that everybody can hear me and we have a really good experience for everybody who's involved here. We have Karen coming from the Jersey Shore and Judith from Toronto. Anybody else want to announce themselves, feel free to do so. Herman from the Netherlands. Always good to have Herman on with us. So Herman, glad to have you today. And then Ralph from San Marcos, California. Ken says it sounds great. So listen, if you'll notice, some of you, I recognize where you're from. As you are a regular attender, regular contributor, I get to know you pretty well. So that's pretty cool. And we have Pete from London. I always have Pete on too, and good to have Pete this morning. So if I refer to you in very personal terms, it's because you've been around for a while and we've gotten to know you. So if you're just joining us for the first time, and we had several first-time visitors last week, if you're joining us for the first time, we'll get to know you as well. So always look forward to getting to meet new people in our Usign community. Miss B's coming from Atlanta, Georgia, right next door. So good to have you all with us today. Just a couple of things that we need to take care of as we get started. If you have a question, and I say this every single time, and I want to note right there, if you have a question, please precede the question with some question marks or the capital Q there so that we can see the question. We don't have any way to make the questions a different color, and we don't want to miss your questions. These are very interactive webinars. I have an agenda, and we're going to do our best to go through that agenda, but we want to make sure that we answer your questions, that if you are stumped with something, or if you have an issue that is an issue that other people may be dealing with at the same time, we want to make sure that you get a chance to ask your question about that, and we'll do our best to try to address that while we're here. I have Gloria, who can get for us links and other things that may be necessary in order for this to be a really good experience for everybody. And so in order to make it that really good experience, let's stay very positive and upbeat, encouraging to each other, and that will make it a really good listening experience for everybody who is on. So thank you for allowing me to present this little introduction here. And if you're ready for us to get in, and if we have not missed anybody who wants to announce themselves, if you're ready for us to get to the agenda, just tell me yes, and we'll get started with the things that I have planned for you today. We're going to have fun today. This is going to be a fun training webinar, and I had a question that got posed to me right before we got started. So hopefully, and I've seen Jay on. Jay asked a question this morning before we got started, and we've encouraged all of you to do that. So, I want to tell you that we will do our best to address those questions. If you ask them, unless they're a support question, then we'll have to just turn it into support. So let's get started. First of all, we're going to put the guest feature on hold for just a little bit because we've got some issues that we need to get cleaned up, and I can't even describe to you exactly what they are. But in a week or two, I should be able to go back to being able to offer our guest feature. But for right now, we need to put that on hold because I have some issues I need to get cleaned up in order to make that work well. The next thing is, I loved this. I thought this was kind of interesting. A little comment that Char made last week. She said that she was Uzine's biggest fan. And I just want to thank you all for the way that you handle yourself in the community, that you do a good job. You're supportive and encouraging to each other, and you are really good about not asking support type questions there, but instead just asking for input from each other. And it's our position that that's your community, and we want you to do the best job that you can with that, and we will do our best to try to encourage you to do that. So I just wanted to thank everybody for their response in this particular post. Now let's get to this is the question that came up, and when a question comes up and you've got a question you'd like for us to address, that do exactly what Jay did. He sent me a private message and said, I have this question. How can we handle this? And I said, if you don't mind, let's just include that in the webinar this morning. So we're going to include that in the webinar this morning. We will address that before we finish the webinar today. So always use that community to be able to ask questions that you think might be beneficial to everybody, okay? Because we want to make this, we want to take the community and we want to connect it to the webinars. And because I think that will really help us if we do that. So the next thing is that as far as the community is concerned, is that we do have this other fan page. I want to make sure that everybody goes and likes that fan page. From last week's webinar, we only had 1 or 2 people who went in and liked that fan page. So make sure that you do that. Make sure that you hit the like button right there and you go like that fan page, okay? Yes, and remember that's not, I said, Gloria just reminded me, we don't answer support questions in private messages. That's just not what we do. Nobody does that. So make sure that you, if you have questions that you would like to pose in the webinar, that's different than the support question. Okay, so thank you, Gloria. I'm glad you reminded me of that. I didn't want to make that sound like that private messaging is the support channel, because it is not. Okay, now a couple little things. We're going to play with GIFZine a little bit today, and we're going to show you some things that we can do together that are going to be a lot of fun. But this is something that I recognized that we have in the update. We have this maximum image size, because we can now import images, maximum image size of 640 by 360. So I had a little fun with this morning, and I want to share that little fun with you, okay? So I'm going to talk about this later today, but this is later in this webinar, but this is a mock-up. And I made this little GIF to put right here. And so watch carefully as this thing plays. This time of the year, I get asked this question a lot because it's a holiday, it's a festive season. And so people ask, how can I make my letters look like something else in the background? And so we'll talk about how to do that. The fun thing is, it took me, including my time on Uzine, took me less than 15 minutes to put this together. Okay? So this is kind of fun. This is a fun way to use GIFZine, but I used it to demonstrate what I was doing in Uzine. Does that make sense to everybody? Kind of a fun little thing to do, and we'll talk about how to do that in just a little bit, because this question comes up a lot, and so we'll deal with that. This allows us to demonstrate a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, now. I've been thinking a lot. I've been pondering the question that we had a couple of weeks ago about when would you use a GIF as opposed to a video. And so I thought, I know exactly what I would do. I have a little video creator tool. So I created a video in the video creator tool. to do something that I wanted to play continuously. Then I could import that into GIFsign and have it play. So, but what about now? What if we took that little maximum image size and I used that to create a video? So that's what I did. I created a little video. Now watch carefully. What do you think? I used it to make a video. It's not a video, it's a GIF. And so it just plays while it's playing on my WordPress site. Do you like the way that works? I thought that was kind of cool. We could take the tool that we have with GIFsign and the tool that we have with Usign, and we can use it to create video. And yet we can have it play as a GIF, and it looks just like that. Now, I thought that was a really cool attention-grabbing GIF. Can we have a snowy one, please? That's an interesting question. Are you referring to the background as being snowy, or are you referring to the background of something else being snowy? Okay, Stefan, we'll do that. I'm going to show you how to do this because this took me. Now, if I were to open up my video creator and create a video to do this, it would take me, 4 or 5 minutes to map out the video. It would take another 4 or 5 or 10 minutes for the video to render. Then I would take the video, I would upload it into GIF, and I would create this, okay? Whole time would take me probably 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to get that done. When I did this, it took me less than 5 minutes to create this. This is fun. And I thought, what a great opportunity to be able to take these little attention grabbers. I want somebody to take a survey. So down here below this, I'm going to put a survey button. But if this is just sitting there playing, I got you, Pete. Okay. Good. So I take this little survey right here, and I have this. I can open this up. I have this just sitting up here playing above my big old survey button right down here, and that will get people's attention to take the survey. Okay, and that'll play on my WordPress site. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to have a player. I just import that as an image, and away we go. So another example of how to use GIFsign. Now, this can be beneficial to people. I wonder what the conversion would be if you had this playing as opposed to just having a static button sitting there without anything. What do you think the conversion? Do you think there would be a greater conversion? You think more people would click on the survey button right here than they with this than they would if there was just a static button sitting there with nothing happening? What do you think? Tell me what you think. Do you think it would be better to you have a higher conversion here? Well, I would too, Mike. That's what I was thinking. I would certainly test it. I would A/B test it. But I think the response will be much greater. So my assumption is that the response would be greater. I would love to see that in an actual test. I agree with you, Mike. Because the secret to being successful as an entrepreneur and a problem solver is you test everything. But this was really easy to do. It was simple, and I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Okay? Now, I'm going to give away one of my biggest secrets. Okay? Today, I'm going to give away one of my biggest secrets. I was scrolling through the templates, and I found this template. And I thought, okay, I'm going to give away one of my biggest secrets. Most of you know that I have been a marketing coach for a long, long time. And I also used to do marketing events. And so this was, I was scrolling through the templates, this caught my attention. And I'm going to give you one of my biggest marketing secrets of all time. And I use this, I told this story yesterday, but this is a big deal, okay? Because this template, as much as I like it, this template does everything that you don't want to do if you're marketing at an event. And I'm going to give you my secret, and I'm going to give you my tip to marketing at events, and I'm going to use this template right here, and I'm going to give you something that you can take if you want to do the work and do something magical for your local business, okay? So I'm going to take this template right here, and I'm going to switch it to this template right here, and we're going to do something that's going to be magical with that. Okay, Dale's saying he can't see the screen. Is anyone else having that issue? Because it looks to me as though the screen is working fine. Dale, you might try refreshing your page and see if that helps. Okay, thank you all for telling me that you're seeing that fine. Okay, good, good, good. All right, I'm going to show you how to do this because I think this is pretty cool, and this is a gold nugget here, and I want you to get a hold of it, all right? So we'll take this template, we'll make a couple of modifications to it, but I'm going to give you what to say with the modified template, all right? Now, we're also going to talk about editing tools. I'm going to talk about the color eyedropper today, and we're gonna mess with that just a little bit. And then I have this. This is how are we going to answer Jay's question earlier? And so I've left the blank here. Well, that'll be our mystery question, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. Okay. Tips and tricks, as always, we'll give you a few little things that you can do as we go along the way with the editing tools and some other stuff, and that'll be pretty cool as well. And then any questions that you have, make sure that you put the questions at the front of it, just exactly like was done earlier when Pete asked the question about the snow. Okay, so that we'll be able to find your questions, and we'll see that. Okay? All right, now let me switch screens, so hang on with me for just a second while I switch screens here. And I will move over to a different screen. Now, these are the two videos that I showed you earlier. These are the two GIFs that I showed you earlier that step you through that process. All right. There's that one. And here's this one. Now, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see my screen. So if you don't see my screen for this, then just let me know. And I'll try to get things positioned here so I can see that. All right. This is what I did. I'm going to show you how I did it on the Usign canvas in just a little bit. But this is what I did. I created these individual images. All right. Can you see the individual images? By just hitting a save between each step. I don't know if you can see those or not. Are you seeing my screen? Do you see my download screen? Some say yes, some say no. So let me do this. Hang on a second. Nope, you're not seeing that screen. So let me do this. This is always a bit of a disaster for me, but I think this will work. Okay, do we have a question, Gloria? I just saw that scroll by. Now do you see the screen that has all of my individual images in it? Tell me if you can see that. Okay, good. All right, so what I did was I created these individual images for the Take Our Survey. All right, so here they are. And there were, I think, what is there, 17 of these? Yeah, no, there's 18 images. 18 images to step through that. So here they are. I created the images one at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those images, I'm going to save them. And you save them in the order that they need to appear, because the order that you save them or the order that you select them, that order will be the order that they will play. Does that make sense? Those of you who are saying you were trying to create this is exactly how you do this. Now we'll go to the Usign canvas and I'll show you how I created the images in just a minute. But now I've selected them in the order that they need to play in. Okay? Now, if you'll notice that each of these plays like this. So make sure you select them in the order they need to play in, starting with the first one, and then you play them, okay? Kim's asking a question. No, you play them. You select them in the order in which you want them to play. So you'll notice this is the first image, this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth, and that's how I selected them. I numbered them so that it would be easy for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 until we got done. Okay. You uploaded the images starting at the very beginning. All right. So we'll start right there, and then I will show you how this looks. Now, we'll play that from the very beginning. It plays it rather rapidly. I think it plays it a bit too fast. So I come over here to the frame rate, and I slow the frame rate down. But you have to upload those in the order that they should play in. And that's more comfortable speed. So I would save that at 4 frames instead of as it is default, which is 8. Okay, are there any questions about that? What I did with Usign is I simply saved that after I saved the image in the correct size. I saved that image with the addition of each letter. So it looks like I'm typing that across the screen. Any comments or any questions before I move on to the next thing? So yes, I upload them from the beginning. Now this second one that I did, yes, Judith, I created the images in Usign. I'm playing them in GIFsign. Okay? So yes, that's exactly right. Because I frequently show you how to use the two tools together. All right, so let's go back here. We'll take a look at this one. I started with this image right here. I wanted to bring this image in right here. I wanted to show this step right here, and this one, and this one, and then the next step is this one, this one, this one, this one. And then I thought it would be kind of fun to have the fall image drop down below that, or drop down from the top. So I threw that fall leaves on the top of it. Okay, and so it plays just like this. As soon as it renders, it will be ready to play. And again, that's way too fast. So what we have to do when it plays too fast is we can slow the frame rate way down. So here we're going to slow the frame rate down, and you'll see how this looks. And this way you'll be able to see each of the steps that were involved. Okay? This is a great way to be able to demonstrate something. And as soon as it renders, we'll be ready to play that. When you slow that down, it takes a little longer for it to render, so just be aware of that. And there you go. Okay? So that's how to take that and create a video out of it. And you can actually make a video from the images. Not a video, I keep saying a video, but it plays like a video. Does that make sense? Do you understand what I'm saying when I say that? It plays in a similar fashion to a video. But it plays without a player. So the question is always being asked, when would I ever use this? Well, this is a great example of how to use this. If I wanted to have posted this let's go back over here. If I wanted to take this image right here and post it today, I put it on this background right here. But if I wanted to post it today, as that this is what we're going to do in today's webinar, I could have done this, and this would have been kind of fun. I could have put this in the user group, and it would have been cool. Exactly. It's very much like old-fashioned filmmaking, and it's incredibly popular today. But the fact that it plays without a player is hugely beneficial. See, we could have done that. That would have been kind of cool. All right. Okay. That's the GIFsign platform. Now, let's talk about how we created that, because how we created it is extremely important. So let me go to the screen sharing platform here for a second. We'll do something. So stick with me as we make this move here. Takes me just a moment to get the right application screen up. All right, that looks like the correct one. So let's go to the place where I had created this, and we'll talk about how we created that. Okay, can you all see the screen with the fall in the image there? Yes, looks like you're seeing that fine. So what I did, if you'll notice, this is the letters over the top of this background. So I just took a foliage background here, which I actually got from Pixabay. I got it from one of our integrated partners. Grabbed that, put these letters over the top of it. All right. Now I'm going to play with the letters for a minute. And this is what I'm going to do with the letters. I'm going to go to my little wand, my special effects here for my text message, or for my text creator, and I'm going to put a border around the outside of it. You have to have a border around the outside of it. And then I'm going to click on the no fill. That makes everything inside of the border disappear. And when I get everything inside the border to disappear, I'm trying to get this so I can see your questions. When I get everything inside the border to disappear, the next thing I want to do is I want to make the border. See, if I use the black, the problem with using the black is the black does not contrast. It instead blends in with the background. So the biggest thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you use something that's a strong contrast to the background. So in this case, what I used was red. All right. I will not forget that, Christopher. I promise you. We're going to get to that in just a little bit, okay? Yes, I could have easily just created more images, Mike. You're exactly right. So in this case, what I'm going to do here, in order to get because this happens all the time. This time of the year, people want to make their letters something festive or something fall-like or whatever. So I'm going to make the border big enough that it's easy for me to work with. So I create the border like that. Now I save that. I've already done this, so it would be easy. Now I save this, and I'm going to get rid of get rid of this now, and I'm going to pull in the image that I saved. So I go to my uploads, I pull in this image, and then I take my background removal tool. Now, this red is a stark contrast. There is nothing in this image that looks red. So it's easy for me to remove the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to select, and I'll make sure that I select this with the red in place. All right. So I'm selecting this image with the red still there so that I'm keeping all of this. Y'all understand what I'm doing here? I want to make sure that I've saved all of this. So now we're going to mark this to save. This doesn't have to be exactly perfect, and I'll show you why in just a moment. This is a two-step process. Now I take this and I start to remove the background. This sometimes you'll remove very complicated backgrounds, and it takes a little bit to get these all to go this way. That's one way to do it. Let me show you another way to do this. All right, are you with me? Yes, you make the border thicker with the border tool. You make the border thicker with the border tool. Now, I've already saved this as an image, so I can't show you how to do that, but you make the border thicker with the border tool under the special effects, which doesn't show up because I don't have text here now. This is an image and it's not text. All right. Now I can go to my erase the background. And in this case, I'm going to try something slightly different. I'm going to look at your questions while that reposes. Xavier's asking, what is the font name? I don't remember. I'll show you where I have that saved at, because I saved that font for this purpose. And that's the cool thing about the text tool, is you don't have to remember the names of the fonts. It's one of the best hacks inside of Usign, is you don't have to remember the names of the fonts. It takes a little bit for this to load. Let me look to see if there are any other questions while this is loading. I'm looking here, let's see. It's not Arial. I don't remember. I think it's Cool Vetica, but I'll show you. It's really cool. I've saved that text so it's easy for me to find, because I use this a lot for these outline letters. Use a lot of resources when I'm doing this, and so this is kind of a clunky time here. We'll go back over here, and I'll show you where I saved those text images at, because this will help. It may be I've just got too much going on right now. There we go. Now, watch what we can do here. I'm going to take this tool. I'm going to save this right here, which is all the stuff on the inside. I'm just going to save the inside of this. Now, remember, I have a stark contrasting color here. So, now what I want to erase is I want to erase the red and everything else. Oh, I want to erase the red and everything else. So we want to make sure that we get up here and we do this. And wouldn't you know, the last time I tested this, it just took off and we had no problem whatsoever. Oh, thought I would have this perfect for you. It's too much foliage in this. All right. Let me back up here and I'll show you what I did, because we're going to run out of time if I keep messing with this. All right, what I did was I imported this image right here, and I did a two-step process with this. I eliminated everything around the outside of it that I could, and then I came back the second time and erased the background using the erase the red tool. So that's how you create that foliage tool. Now, I'm going to answer the text question, because it's this one right here. I've saved this right here. I did this for another thing that we were doing on a webinar one time. Passion 1, that's the name of the font. Now, do you see how cool this is? This little text saving tool over here is a great way to, I don't have to remember the names of the fonts, so I'm not guessing. I've got them saved. I want to know what that font is. I've got it saved. It's right there. So instead of having to come up with those, because this is kind of a cool font, I use this once in a while. I know what that font is because it's right there. All right. That's the best way to come up with those. Right here, Cool Vetica, and you'll find Cool Vetica in a lot of the templates. It's this font right here. I can change it to that, but you'll find that in a lot of the templates. But that's the way you keep track of your fonts. You got a favorite font, and you want to keep track of that, like this one right here. I would never know what that was called. Never. I would have never called it whatever that word is. I would have never called it that. But I've saved it, so anytime I want to use it, it's right there. And I don't have to remember the name of the font. Saves you huge amounts of time. Huge amounts of time. All right, you got that? Are we all clear? Is there any questions about what we've done so far? How do I save that? Right here. I want to save this. There's a little button right there. It looks like the old disk that you used to insert into your computer. And you click on that. And as that saves that, right there, I've now saved that text, and it's right there. And I'll have it forever. Or I can delete it, whichever. Because we did this last week. This is how I remember what we talked about last week. It's always saved over here. Okay? Then you can go in here. You can trash the font if you want to. Now, let me show you another little editing trick while we're here. Checking to see if there's any. If you made the red border on the text thicker, would it have helped with the selection of difficulty? It was easier for me to do it in a two-step process, Jay, and it was faster for me to do it that way. It's very slow when I'm trying to do it inside of the webinar, but this was the font right here. It was fairly easy for me to do it by removing everything inside of here, saving the red, then going back and eliminating the red background. That was a two-step process. Let me see if it would take me a little bit to upload that, and I've got a lot of stuff I want to cover, so I didn't want to get too bogged down in that. And we've covered that several times on how to do that. But yes, saving that background wide enough to do that is helpful. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? I don't want to miss anything. But that's a good point, Jay. All right. And honestly, it's very fast to do a two-step when you're not connected to the webinar. It just takes a loading and unloading of an awful lot of stuff in order to make that happen. Okay? So now, let's go back over here to the template design right here. And I'm going to tell you it was the template, and I found this template, and it triggered something for me. And so under prints, we'll find the template that caused this to happen. It was an A5 flyer. And I'm just scrolling down through here looking at this, okay? And I went, aha, this is something I can do. And this is the template right here. And you'll view this. You'll see this. This is typical. And the first thing that went into my head, so here's the marketing magic, guys. First thing that went into my head was a couple of years ago, I took my wife. I was trying to show to my wife what I do. All right, so she would understand, because sometimes she just needs to get a clear demonstration of that. So we go to a home show. We go to the home show. While we're at the home show, she said, who are we looking for at a home show? Because we don't own our home. I said, we're looking for roofing companies. I'm going to show you what I do. So we go to the roofing. There's 5 roofing companies at the home show. I go to the first roofing company's booth, and he says, hey, would you like to have a free estimate on your roof? And I said, wrong question, and I walked away. So I did that 4 times. The 5th guy said, would you like to have a free estimate on your roof? And I said, wrong question. He said, what should I have asked? And I went, there, I've got a live one. And so I said, well, do you ever charge people for estimates? And he said, no. I said, so I paid to come in the door and you paid to have a booth, and you're going to give me something that you would give me on the second Thursday of next month if I called. Yeah. I said, then we both wasted our time. I said, what you should have said, are you all with me? I got to make sure that you're following along with this. I said, are you all, I said, what you should have said was, how old is your roof? Now, this is promoting roofs. Do you see that? I made one tiny tweak to this, and this is the tiny tweak that I made to it. Instead of giving you this, how you get this special roof gutter, whatever thing that they were trying to promote there, I called this my roof protection plan, because nobody wants to see this picture at the top, right? How many of you, this would be one of your biggest concerns, is to have this crew of guys climbing around all over the top of your roof? Make sense? So, I don't want to see these guys crawling around. So I titled this your roof protection plan. And I said, protect your investment. Your roof should last 18 to 22 years. You know what? We don't replace roofs in Alabama because they got old. We replace roofs in Alabama because they got damaged. And the damage came from a storm that came through, or from a really hot, dry summer, or something like that. And so what I would do is I would list these things that you should do. Look for this when you mow your grass after a storm, after a hot month. List 5 things to look for here every time you mow your grass. Now take this little flyer, and I want you to put this up in your garage, right where you park your lawnmower. And then down here at the bottom it says, if you find any of these issues, call us. How powerful is that? I'm just asking you, how powerful is that? Now you've sold an incredibly powerful service to somebody who's about to come and do an event, and they're going to spend $700 to put a booth in there, and you're going to pay $15 to get through the door, and it's a complete waste of time. Okay, that's incredibly powerful. And that's what I want you to see. And what triggered this thinking was I found this template, right? I found the template. I went, oh, we're going to have a home show coming up. I can do this at the home show. I can help a roofing company to maximize their benefit at the home show. And now I become very special to them. All right. I'm not competing on who's got the lowest price. That template is under prints. It's an A5 template. But what I've been trying to help you to understand is that you use the templates, and that's why I call this section in the training Templatology. You're using the templates to trigger opportunity for you. Does that make sense? So that template was under the A5 template. It's right here, man. Watch me as I do this. This is under templates. I have all of these templates. They're under the print templates. There's 239. So I went down here to the prints. I looked at flyers, and I scrolled down, and I saw this template right here. And I said, oh, I can do this. I can give you my greatest marketing secret of all time. And that is, you don't talk about your stuff. You talk about people's concerns, and you fix their problem. That's simple. And it just triggered that thinking in my head to remind you all that if you create things, if your designs solve people's problems, it'll be magical. All right. Okay. So that's that issue right there. I noticed that we're really, really slow and behind. So I'm not sure exactly what's causing that. You have to understand all the channels that a webinar goes through. And it goes through a bunch. All right, it's got to go from my computer to the platform to you and so there's some details that are involved in this. Okay, the question was asked, and we're going to get to Jay's question right now. The greatest secret, Christopher, was you solved the person's problem. You and that was the reason why I used this design right here, because people don't want to see this. So I entitled that a roof protection plan. That's the marketing magic. That's the secret. I want this person to save my phone number forever. If it says free estimate on it, we've gotten inoculated to the word free. But if we have protect your investment on there, the person who gave me that is my best friend. Now, that's where the magic's at, okay? Yes, Pete, there's always a solution to a problem, and that's what we wanted to do right here. So I wanted to show you, change the language here. You're not promoting the other product. You instead are solving the person's problem. I didn't go to the home show to buy a roof because mine's only 3 years old. What I went to the home show for instead was to find out, how do I keep the stuff that I've got? How do I protect the investment that I have? How do I take good care of what I've got? Now, how many more people are going to hang on to this because you're not in the market for a roof, but you might be the next time a storm goes through? You might be the next time that you have a hot month. You need to be aware of those things, and that would be very valuable. And I didn't give you the rest of the stuff here because that's what I do, okay? All right. Hopefully that was helpful to you, and you'll see that as being an opportunity. Now, let's talk about the templates. I have a template here. Let's grab a template. And because Jay's question was, how's the best way to take something from the template that I can keep and use if I find something that I really want? Let's just take this one for example. Let's use this template, and we're going to take this one because there's something here I want to keep. All right. So Jay's question was, in this really busy template, what's the best way to keep an element that I find in that template that I like and I want to hang on to? Now, you have a couple of options. One would be for you to begin to eliminate and erase all of the stuff from this that you don't want. Say I want to keep this right up here. So I could go in here, I could delete all of this stuff right here, or I could go up here and I could pick the entire element by doing this, just like that. Save it as a group right here. Now let's see if we've saved it, because it's got multiple layers in it. All right. And go over here to graphics, go to groups, and there it is. Now, the reason why it looks like that is because it has been slid up over the top of this, just like that. Does that make sense? No, the answer, Carol, is no. It does not eliminate the original. You still have the original. And so what you do, what I did in this case, that was what I wanted to save. So if I wanted to save this group right here, all right, this is just text that's done that way. But if I wanted to find out what that font was, there's the name of the font. The interesting thing is, fonts are always things I can't pronounce. So I could save this. We forget all about the groups and the text branding tool. We forget about how powerful those are in being able to do this. And so it's a great way for me to be able to grab stuff out of a template and save it. That was a single element, so I could grab the single element and save it as a branded text. I could grab multiple elements like I did right here, and I can save them as a group. It's the best way to do it, Jay. Does that help? Xavier's asking, can you name the groups? The answer is no, you can't, not at this time. Looking to see if there are any other questions about this. Does that make good sense? Do you understand what I did? Two different things that you can do. You can save all of the elements together. Now, honestly, let's go back to the canvas here. Let's say that I really wanted to, I like this. Let me get rid of these other things that are in the way. I like this, but I didn't want it to have all three of those elements in the background. So I'm going to unsave this. Or I wanted to, let's just say I wanted to change the text right here. We're going to call it, instead of being a hotel and resort, it's going to be a hangout. Oh, I lost it. Where did it go? We'll bring that all the way to the front. We'll call it a hangout. And I want to save it that way. So now I simply take that, make sure that I've got it centered properly. I take this not centered properly because this one's not centered properly. Now I can save the whole thing. Just like that. Back over to my graphics under groups, and there it is, and now it's called the hangout. So I can do that. Does that make sense? All right, let me check the questions here because it's time for me to check the questions and make sure that we've got everything, and then we'll be done. Judith is asking, is there a limit to the number of groups that we can have? The answer is no, there's not. It would be very convenient if there was a way to categorize those, but we're not able to do that at this point in time. That requires something that's just very, very complicated. Something that's been on the board for a long time, and it seems to be more difficult to do than we think. So Christopher is asking an unrelated question. He says, is it possible to change the colors inside of a picture? The answer is no, it's not possible to change colors inside of a picture. We can't do an actual inside of the picture element change. We can do vector images and other things. We can change those colors, but we can't change the color inside of an image. Now, we get asked that question a lot. There are some little things that we can do. I had an image the other day that had something in it I wanted to eliminate. I made it exactly the same color as the background and put a box over the top of it, made it the right shape, and I was able to eliminate that. We sometimes can erase the background and eliminate that. And do something pretty cool with that, and I've shown how to do that a couple of times. Is it possible to change the color of the template in the background? Yeah, let me show you a couple of things there, Tyree, with that as we wrap up here. This right here, what I did in this case was I wanted to change the background. And so I hit this replace key. Now, what you need to do is make sure that you've got something here to do that with. But if I wanted to change this background right here, I click on this change or if I want to replace this image right here, I can replace this image very simply like this. And so I can replace the background back and forth. That's one thing that you can do. And that's pretty cool. That allows you to be able to make some major modifications to the template with 2 clicks of a mouse. All right. And it's sized properly is the other thing that's pretty cool. So that's one thing that you can do, Tyree. Yes. Now, if this had a particular, this is going to be an image right here. But if we had one that had a particular background, now notice that right here I can change this color. This is where that little eyedropper tool becomes really helpful. All right. If I wanted to change this to match the color of the siding on the house, I click on this. Now I've got a little eyedropper tool, and I can take that eyedropper tool and I can move it over the color that I want that to be. All right. Another nice little editing tool that I wanted to demonstrate in today's webinar. So I have the ability to be able to do that. And I really liked the yellow, and so I saved that as a theme. All right. Move that yellow around, save it as a theme. And we were able to do that. All right. But you can play with that little eyedropper tool. So those are two ways. Now, if it is the solid background, Tyree, the other thing you do is just use your background tool here and do it with this. The other possibility is that you can filter it and you can make it grayscale if you want to do that. All right. Kind of cool stuff that you can do with this as well. We forget about the filters a lot. I forget about the filters a lot. You can change that in this way. Yes, you can curve text around an image. We have just enough time to do that. So, because I think that's a fun project. So let me grab a new piece here, and we will do this. I think we'll do it. I only have about 6 Usign windows open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 Usign windows open, so it gets a little bit complicated. Let me grab a curved image here. Here's a curved image. Let's take this. This was actually branded for another company, and so what I did was I took the color tools. I saved it. If you'll notice over here, I had actually saved their three colors here, and I saved it with their image name. Down here, this is another huge time-saving tool. So here are the 3 images, there are the 3 colors in a font that they prefer to use, okay? So now let's talk about the curved image. We'll grab this. I have to play with this just a little bit. This text is curved. And when I click on this, I've got to come over here. I can edit this right here. So this is where I edited that. All right. So now that text is curved and it's been edited for you. We're going to make that significantly bigger by moving that to there. Now I'm going to make this 180 degrees. If I make it 180 degrees, it will be a perfect half circle. So now I need to make it the right size. So I'll pull this in here like this. I'm pretty close right there. All right. Does that answer your question, Christopher? That's how you do the curved text. Now, if I need that text to be larger, I come back over here. I can increase the size of the text. And I can do it like that. Sometimes you have to play with the numbers just a little bit to get it to fit. And I can expand that out, do that, get it like that, and you play with it until it looks appropriate. Does that answer your question, Christopher? The curved text is right here under the text tool. You have basic, which is where it defaults to. The curved is right here. And I just click on that. It brings that curved text up. I click over here and I can add edit this any way I want to. And now I simply make this the size I want it to be. Move it like that. Reduce this lettering here so that it comes out like I want it to come. Okay, got too much text in there, so I would have to move this to, oh, sorry, wrong one. Now by changing that, I can move this into a full circle. I have to click on this, go to my off-canvas elements, make that smaller, like that. Okay? How do you size down a picture without distorting it? Great question. Let me grab a picture from my uploads here. We'll take this picture right here. And the way I do that is I hold down the shift key, I get up here in the corner, hold down the shift key, and move it that way. And it will save it without distorting it. Hold down the shift key while you are moving it diagonally, and that will solve that problem. And you're doing that exactly the same way on a Mac. That's what I use for my demonstrations as a Mac. Any other questions? The way you fix the space in the edit is you click right here on the, when I had this edit button, let me get rid of that so you can see it. Right here I have an extra space in the word edit. And so you have extra space here because what it's doing, and we don't have kerning capabilities inside of a curved text. There's just not any way to be able to create the. So what it's doing is it's taking the fattest text and making it appear as though there is space right here because there's no kerning capabilities inside of a curved text. Just can't be done. Christopher has another question. Let's see here. Let me see. We got a whole bunch of questions being thrown at me here real quickly, so hang on a second. Tom, I'm not sure I understand your question. Stefan's got the gift sign with the Usign images. Okay, looks like we're all good. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want you all to have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Always look forward to having you here on Fridays. So as next week, same time, same place, and we'll have a new agenda and we'll have some fun using Usign and GIFsign together as we continue to work on our design skills. Thank you for joining me today. Have a wonderful